This has got to be one of the worst takes I have ever heard in my entire life. You think that one gorilla is going to be able to beat 100 men? Do you realize how many people 100 people is? Like, I keep seeing these people that are saying like, dude, the gorilla, he can like lift, 5 guys and he'll tear their arms off. Dude, it's 100 men. After we do about 20 guys or so, okay, the other 80 are going to mop up. Just think about this for a second. 100 dudes, even on the lighter side, that's 150 pounds per person. That's 15,000 pounds. How much can a gorilla lift? 1,700. Yeah, I actually looked this stuff up and I did the math in my head. If we just dogpile this gorilla, the gorilla's not going to be able to move. It's going to tire out and then you're going to claw its eyes out, okay? You guys are underestimating humankind. Anyways, speaking of bad takes, there's also this one right here. Marvel Rivals is the best thing to happen to Marvel Comics in ages, but one exec doesn't agree. That is right. Tom Brevoort, editor over at Marvel Comics, doesn't believe that Marvel Rivals is having that much of an effect on comic book readers and comic book collectors, to which I say, obviously, he doesn't watch my channel, and obviously he hasn't been paying attention to what is actually selling out there. So in this video, I wanted to go over this article, talk about what this Marvel editor had to say, try to not be depressed over the thought that these are the people that are actually running this industry, and try to let Mr. Tom know that Marvel Rivals is one of the best things that has happened to comics, and he better start greenlighting some Marvel Rivals projects. But of course, before I get into it, if you guys could like, comment, subscribe, I would appreciate it. Helps support the channel doing those things. But there you see it from Screen Rant. Marvel Rivals is the best thing to happen to Marvel Comics in ages, but one exec doesn't agree. This is an article over on Screen Rant. I will put a link in the description if you guys want to do your own reading, but let me pull out some of the highlights. Marvel Rivals has been a massive hit since its release in 2024, bringing deep cut aspects to Marvel Comics lore to the attention of a new generation of fans, but longtime Marvel executive Tom Brevoort doesn't believe there is necessarily a correlation between the game's success and Marvel's publishing plans. In the latest edition of his Substack, Brevoort dismissed the idea that Marvel Comics is taking cues from Marvel Rivals, stating that popularity of Marvel Rivals likely has more to do with play mechanics than it does the characters themselves. Now, I'm going to give him a little bit of a grace on that one. We'll revisit that comment in a section, but let me scroll down to the main point and the crux of what he said here, and let's break it down. Tom Brevoort's comments about Marvel Rivals came in response to a fan asking whether the character's Cloak and Dagger's appearance in-game would be a gateway to a renewed attention on the heroic duo in the comics. Feels like they've never been more popular than they are right now, the fan wrote. In turn, Brevoort offered this response. I tell you, Joe, I tend to think that popularity in Marvel Rivals likely has more to do with play mechanics than it does the characters themselves, which is to say that I haven't seen any major correlation between popularity in the game and a rise of interest in the character in print, outside of maybe one or two outliers. That said, we are planning to do something with Cloak and Dagger in the near future so that potential audience will have something to take a look at. I'm sorry, did a Marvel editor literally just say a major correlation between popularity in the game and a rise of interest in the character in print? I mean, has this guy heard of this character right here? It's a character called Jeff the Land Shark. I mean, what more example of a rise in popularity of a character do you need other than this lovable pet shark? I mean, it's crazy that this person would actually think that this game has had no impact in the rise in popularity of characters when, I mean, just think about it. How many times have we made videos on this channel already? Like the Malice costume. We've talked about Galactabooks moving out there in the secondary market. We've talked about Psylocke. We've talked about Peach Momoko. We talked about the Marvel Rivals J. Scott Campbell covers. For crying out loud. I mean, like, there's been so many examples of sales moving out there in the secondary market, and that's not even talking about, all of the Marvel Rivals #1 issues that sold out there. I mean, if you go over to eBay, just look at this. I mean, look at how many books are selling in relation to Marvel Rivals. I mean, if you just put Marvel Rivals on your variant cover, it's gonna sell. It's crazy that the editor of Marvel Comics is not aware of this. But this is something we've had, many conversations on the channel before. It's like, a lot of times I think that these people are out of touch or they don't realize like what is actually selling out there, because all they care about is what Diamond orders. They don't actually know what's moving out there in comic book stores or from retail variants or, from Comic Cons. Like they don't understand what people are actually interested in. But it doesn't take like a rocket science to look at, a hot list, go over to cover price. Like if you're a Marvel Comics editor, like why would you not be checking out like the key collector top 10? Why would you not be looking at cover prices, trending 20 list or, the list that they put together? Like, why would you not be paying attention to that stuff? Like this goes like hand in hand to, what we've been talking about with Mark Spears, even here on the channel, where it's like Mark Spears' covers have been selling like crazy over the course of the last 6 months, ever since his Kickstarter came out. And nobody over at the Big Two even knew who he was. Like, how could they not be paying attention to what is actually happening on the ground? Like, wouldn't they want to know what customers are actually buying? I mean, I've said this many times on the channel before, like, wouldn't secondary hot lists be the truest indication of what comic books are actually selling? I mean, again, all just in the last, week or so. These are all sales of books related to Marvel Rivals. It's crazy to me that this person would actually say it. Now, let me give him or extend a little bit of an olive branch here. I understand what he's trying to sort of say, where if he's talking about game mechanics and saying like, well, popular characters are just popular because those are the most overpowered characters in the game. It's like, I mean, kind of, but not really. I think this is completely downplaying, the emotional attachment and investment that people make with, the characters that they like to play with. Like, how many people are coming out of this game being fans of Luna Snow now? Like, there are so many more Luna Snow fans because of this video game than any comic book that has ever been published. And it just seems very obvious that, hey, maybe you would want to capitalize on that. Maybe you would want to make a comic book with Luna Snow in it. So the idea that like, hey, Cloak and Dagger have never been more popular because of the video game, which is absolutely true. Doesn't it make sense that, hey, maybe you should put them back in a Spider-Man story, or hey, maybe you should have a little limited series for them, coming out in the summer. Like, that just makes sense to me. But the fact that this person is like, well, I don't actually know if this has any correlation or any effect. It's like, dude, you need to get up on game. I mean, like Emma Frost right here, there were more people cosplaying the Marvel Rivals version of the Marvel Rivals characters at WonderCon than were doing the traditional ones. That's how crazy it is to like see him say something like this. This has struck readers as somewhat curious response, especially considering that Brevoort seems to somewhat contradict himself in the process, as well as more generally going against the grain of conventional wisdom on this matter. That is, it seems only natural that Marvel Comics would modulate its plans for certain characters based on their newfound popularity thanks to Rivals, just as it does when pushing heroes and villains to the foreground when they have a Marvel Cinematic Universe appearance upcoming. Yeah, absolutely. And it's another interesting thing. It's like, let's go over to Key Collector's, hottest comics right here and just scroll down and take a look at, what have some of the hottest comics been recently. I mean, we already know the answer to this. Like, what do we see on the hottest comics regularly? Oh, we see Peach Momoko, Galactica, Fantastic Four book right here. Oh, we see Fantastic Four 280, the first appearance of the Malice costume. Oh, we see, other books right here. West Coast Avengers #7, first appearance of Jeff Landshark. Oh, War of the Realms, New Agents of Atlas #1, first appearance of Luna Snow. You know what we don't see in these hot list books right here? We don't see any books related to Thunderbolts. Now, would this editor say anything about, the Thunderbolts not having an effect on comic books? I'm sure that they wouldn't. But I think that there is the bias. Like, they think that the movies have more of an effect to, what comic readers want to see, which is maybe kind of true at this moment in time. But when it comes to the younger audience, again, I'm telling you, this video game is going to have way bigger of an effect on potential comic readers than the Marvel Cinematic Universe will. Certainly over the next 5 years. That's my true belief on it. Tom Brevoort's admission that there are maybe one or two outliers in terms of characters whose popularity has increased in the wake of Marvel Rivals release is perhaps what makes his response here more perplexing for fans. Marvel Rivals has only been out for several months at this point, meaning that while the game's impact on popularity of certain characters or interest in particular details of Marvel lore can be measured among the game's online fandom, it's simply too early to notice a corollary impact on comic sales. I mean, even with the Screen Rant article, I gotta say, guys, head over to eBay. Look at some of the comic sales that are going on for Marvel Rivals. Do you guys want to see something crazy? In preparation for this video, I thought to myself, you know what? What's West Coast Avengers selling for these days? It still sells for $130. Months later, every single FOMO spec book that we ever talk about in relation to movies goes down way faster than this. This is one of the most impressive FOMO spec, whatever you want to call it, books that we've seen in a long time. The fact that it's still over three figures, 139, 130, 140, 125, 100, a 9.8 for 360. I mean, again, this is all within the last couple weeks or so. People still buying this book. You know why? Because Jeff the Landshark is still in sight, in mind. There's still lots of people sharing memes and highlights and clips of their Marvel Rivals gameplay with Jeff the Landshark swallowing a bunch of characters and then spinning them over an edge. Like, that's why people still think about this book. They still want to have it in their collection. You know what people are not thinking about? They're not thinking about the leader anymore because he was in Brave New World. I mean, even here, looking at the West Coast Avengers sales chart, look at this. I mean, it went up from, $190, $185, certainly went up to, the heights of $475, and, $336 was, one of the lower sales, but, even a week before that, it was a $500 sale. This is just one of those ones that ended at auction. So someone got a good deal. $412, $410, $475. I mean, still really impressive sales numbers for the first appearance of Jeff. The editor's quick dismissal, in which he argues that gamers aren't interested in Marvel characters outside of the context of the game, comes across, if nothing else, as self-defeating. For some, it also strikes a disingenuous chord. I mean, it is interesting to think about. I wonder if this is just like a sore spot for him in the building. Like, maybe he is someone that, genuinely doesn't like the fact that he has to change his, editorial plans due to Marvel Rivals. I mean, obviously, there are people in the building over at Marvel that do see, the advantage of promoting Marvel Rivals, and they've done stuff like, greenlight a new Jeff the Landshark series, and maybe Tom is just, not up on it. Ultimately, there's a dismissive quality to Brevoort's answer that is likely to be the most frustrating dimension of his response for some fans. Marvel readers write to the editor seeking answers, and while the frankness of his answers he supplies can be appreciated in some cases, here it comes across as downplaying a connection that fans rightfully recognize is incredibly valuable for the company. Many would argue that Marvel Rivals is the best thing to happen to Marvel Comics in years, even if some at the publisher, such as Tom Brevoort, are hesitant to agree. Well, Tom, hear it from me as well. I think that this is a grave mistake that you are making if you are intentionally not paying attention to Marvel Rivals. I think that you should reconsider your stance on this one because the sales are there. It's not that hard. You don't have to look, very deep to understand the impact that the sales of, Marvel Rivals related comic books are having, especially on the secondary market. And I'm sure that Marvel Rivals, like the first issue that, actually went out in relation to the game, I'm sure that sold really well for a lot of comic book stores. I'm sure a lot of people ordered that thing. So I don't really understand your stance on this one or why you would actually say this. If anything, it is really, concerning that a Marvel editor would not be in tune to what is going on with the Marvel Rivals, hype and the success of the comic book sales. And also not to mention that it is very clear that there is renewed interest in people reading about the characters as well. Like, take away the secondary market sales and think about the reading for a second. Absolutely, people have been reading more about Jeff the Landshark. Absolutely, people have been reading more about Luna Snow. Absolutely, people have been reading more about Psylocke. Like, of course, there is interest in these characters. So I certainly hope you reconsider your stance. And I certainly hope that if you're somebody out there that thinks that one gorilla can beat 100 guys, you give humanity more credit. Anyways, that's all for this video. That was me going over this recent news. I thought I had to talk about it. I mean, we've talked about Marvel Rivals so many times on this channel. I wish no ill will to Tom Brevoort. I think he's probably well-intentioned and well-meaning, but I have to say, I mean, it's a little bit concerning that you would be so dismissive of Marvel Rivals. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think Marvel Rivals is overhyped? Do you guys think that this has any effect on the comic book market? Doesn't it make sense that you would want to greenlight characters that are being celebrated in this video game for new comic books in the future? Let me know in the comments. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. See y'all in the next video.